What's good, everyone? So my friend Tito just went through a horrible breakup, and I found out that as a replacement, he's been dating a furry body pillow. He hasn't seen sunlight in like a week, he hasn't left his room in months, and it smells absolutely odious. I even brought a Geiger counter nearby and it started going off. So, obviously, something needs to be done. So today, I've gathered everybody who cares about him, and we're gonna stage an intervention. Let's get it. Tito, you there?
Come in!
No, what's that smell?
What?
Jake, you alright, buddy? I don't think he's alright. Okay, look, y'all. This guy hasn't seen sunlight in a month. No sudden movements, alright? We gotta get that pillow from him, man.
Yeah, it's some Bravo 6 stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's kill him.
If it gets to that point.
Okay.
Tito, you ready for us now? You're not doing some freaky shit, right? Alright. So look, Tito. Like,
Ew, I didn't stay
hey,
there.
we need to have compassion, alright?
Alright.
Tito, what's been going on, man?
Nothing, man. You just kind of got upset because you interrupted me and my girl.
That's not your girl, dude. It's a
That's
pillow.
my girl, bro.
It's a pillow, dude. It's a furry body pillow.
Bro,
What is that stain, bro?
what do you mean, bro? Don't worry about it. What do you guys want?
We're trying to get you outside, bro. You haven't showed up to practice. I know the breakup's been hard, alright? But you can't keep doing
My
this.
girl Alberto's not liking this conversation right now, bro.
She's not real, Tito.
Bro, she's right here, bro. She's just not talking because she's upset.
This behavior's unhealthy, man. Like, what is that, bro? What's going on here? You haven't
She
been outside.
likes him, bro. What's up? What do you guys want, man?
What the?
Get him!
Oh, no!
Okay, get the pillow. Get the pillow. Let me see it. Wait, let me see it. Go. Hey, whoever drew that's pretty good.
Okay.
Tito, look. Tito, I'm sorry, look.
Alberto, where'd she go?
No, Tito.
Taking her, bro.
No, be quiet. Tito, look. I'm gonna teach you how to talk to women, alright? We're gonna figure it out,
Bro,
okay?
I already bagged her, bro. She's bad. Bring it back.
No. I will train you how to talk to women, alright? You just have to agree to come out of the house and hang out with us again, alright?
She's beautiful.
No, you're gonna agree to it, alright? Okay. So let's say we're on a date, and I just sat down in front of you. How would you open?
I'd probably just ask, why aren't you two-dimensional?
Tito, you can't say that.
What color is it?
You can't say that either. And bro, I'm like actually so stressed for you right now. Like, Tito, I really care about you. These other guys do, I think. And like, we're just trying to help you, man. Like, why aren't you accepting the help? Like, look, dude, what do I even do with this, dude? I don't want this. Like, what?
Just put it on your face real quick.
I mean, dude, if it helps you to like see this as you're talking, I guess it's alright, but like... What's good, everyone? Today we're discussing possibly the most well-adjusted group of people on Reddit, the Waifuists. If you're lucky enough to have not watched any anime in your life, you probably don't know what the term waifu means. Basically, anime fans refer to a character they're attracted to as a waifu, and usually this term is used by those types of anime fans. You know the ones I'm talking about. There's gonna be a lot of them today. But basically, waifuism is an ideology full of people who take this logic to their extreme and actually imagine that they're in relationships with these characters. And look, I get being attracted to a fictional character, alright? Like, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft lately, and there's a villager in my realm that trades mending, protection for infinity, and name tags. And all I'm saying is I live on a cobblestone sky platform full of farms, and like half of it is a super smelter. Smelter I hardly dealt her. But the very first aesthetic thing I built was this house for my mending villager. So if that isn't love, I don't know what is. But for me, I'm aware that this villager is not real, so I don't pursue a relationship. However, not everyone shows my absolutely heroic level of self-restraint. And this group is a prime example of this. Because the waifuists consider themselves to be in a relationship with fictional characters, do not seek what they call 3D relationships, and are instead content with sleeping by the side of a PNG on their phone. Remarkable. And quick disclaimer before we get to the actual posters, if you actually are a waifuist and this behavior makes you happy and healthy, this video isn't about you. I honestly don't care. I'm a big proponent of just live and let live. And although you might be fine with this sort of arrangement, when I look at the subreddits, I don't see a lot of happy, healthy people. Quite the opposite, in fact. And that's ultimately the type of thing that I want to look into in this video. What makes people want to get into waifuism? And is it healthy? Or can it be? If you're on the internet a lot, you might have also heard the term self-shipping, but self-shipping and waifuism are very different. The former is essentially just making art and fanfiction about you or your OC with a certain character, whereas the waifuists are literally, quote-unquote, dating these characters. Like, if you ask them their relationship status, they would say they're married to, like, Joseph Joestar or something. Just wanted to clear that up so you know who we're talking about here. Sorry, Grandpa, I know you watch my videos. This has probably been incomprehensible for you so far. But luckily, the subreddit they congregate on has a frequently asked questions section to describe what they're all about. Are you in love with a fictional character? So are we. Come join us and tell us about your waifu. We also have a Discord server, come and join. I really should be a good journalist and go join it to see what's up, but I'm gonna be honest, you have to like actually be like a proven waifuist and like have history on this sub, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I can pretend for that long, alright? But anyways, onto the FAQ. Question, what is a waifu? Waifu can mean a couple different things. In many places on the internet, it's just an ironic and tongue-in-cheek term for a character you find attractive. In this community and some others, it's a term for a fictional character that someone has fallen in love with and is having a relationship with. Question 2, is this subreddit satire? No, we're serious. Question 3, you know they're not real, right? Yes, of course. However, the feelings we have for them are very real and it brings us joy to share these feelings and that's why we're here. Question, I lost count already. Are there any limitations on who can be a waifu? As long as they're fictional, it doesn't matter. Wait, so you're telling me I can't have LeBron as my waifu? Question something. How do you get a waifu? You don't really get a waifu. When you pick a character to fit in or just pick your top crush, then sometimes you'll find the feelings of love burn out quickly. Wow, I love waifu relationship advice. That's crazy. Lots of people say your waifu finds you. I wish. Once you feel that special bond, then maybe you've really got something special going on. Now again, you're probably wondering, how do you actually be in a relationship with a waifu? Well, they answer that. So how do people spend time and feel close with their waifu? Dude, I'm so sick of saying the word waifu already. I'm sorry, it just reminds me of like the worst type of anime fans. I'm actually frying my brain right now. I gotta like come up with another term or something. There are lots of ways. Here are some. Some people collect digital media. Some people collect physical merchandise. Some people write diary entries or letters addressed to their waifu. Like, where do you mail those? Do you mail those to like the author or something? Like, dude, imagine writing a manga. You finally get published and you're finally successful. And some dude from America writes a letter to your characters. Some people make their own creative works featuring their waifu. Some people request or commission creative works. Wow, I'm sure those are well known for being totally sane. Some people go on dates with their waifu, doing something they both like to do. How do you know? How do you know they like to do that? Some people dedicate things they do to their waifu and get involved in personal improvement. I guess that's one of the more healthier ways to have one. There are many more ways too. This just scratches the surface. And yeah, we'll get into those ways later, alright? It gets interesting. And then the last question, is it okay to sexualize your waifu? I mean, here's the answers. And I guess it's actually a common topic of debate in this community. But anyways, the FAQ is actually kind of helpful. In case you haven't caught on by now, basically, these are people who are attracted to fictional characters, which is pretty normal on its own, but these people are aware they aren't real, but they still do various things to try and build a connection, such as commissioning art or going on dates, where they basically just imagine that the character's with them and just imagine conversations between them. So overall, it's basically an imaginary friend, but like, freaky. An imaginary freak, if you will. Because this often involves things such as life-size body pillows or certain types of art. But anyway, before we get into the actual posters of the subreddit, let's cover their rules. Rule number 1, no multiple waifus. Dude, I can't do this. 1 waifu/husbando allowed. If something changes in a relationship and you break up and find someone else, then fine, that's different. But never more than 1 at a time. Waifuism is a serious commitment, akin to actual marriage, and should be treated as such. Alright, so we can excuse dating anime characters, but we can't excuse anime polyamory. Polyanime. But I find this so weird though, it's like, why do they care? Like, why do the mods of the subreddit care how people engage with this? Like, I don't really understand this rule. If only there was a humorous image explanation attached. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? There's a humorous image explanation. Remember to just have 1 waifu. Having more waifu will destroy your waifu. Okay. Dude, that was so funny it knocked over my light. Okay, but for real, that was not a humorous image explanation at all. I don't know why the bar for humor is so low for anime fans. I say that as an anime fan, but they're some of the most consistently unfunny people I've ever talked to. Again, not entirely. I love subreddits like Pirate Folk. It's just like, I went on r/animemes the other day, and this was one of the top posts. Like, there's no way 13,000 real people looked at this and were just like, that's funny as hell. I'm gonna upvote that. Like, I know I can't really talk. Like, I made that I hardly know her joke like 6 times last video, but personally, I prefer that type of thing than whatever the hell this is. And I don't know, I just have such like a personal vendetta against anime memes sometimes. I'm a huge JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fan, and the memes of that show have turned the fandom so unfunny. It's like there's genuine funny shit in that show, and yet JoJo fans choose to make the same joke like over and over and over for literal years now. I don't know. Like, JoJo is such a good manga, and yet we're making memes like this in 2025. Like, why is Reddit a decade behind? And okay, I laughed at this one, but this is like 1 in 100. Like, I laughed more during All Quiet on the Western Front than I did scrolling through this subreddit. But moving on, because we got more important things to talk about. Rule 2, no 3D or real people. Well, what if the show's in 3D, huh? What do you do then? No dating or being romantically involved with a real person while also claiming a waifu. This is considered a betrayal toward your waifu. The same as if you were married to a real person that dated someone on the side. Sorry, I think my light's a waifuist. It's really trying to turn itself off right now. Alright, we're back. If you find someone in real life that you truly love more than your waifu, then by all means pursue what will make you happier, but you can't have both. According to who? Who cares, dude? Like, I don't know. My general thesis in this video is live and let live, so I just find it so funny that, like, the mods of this subreddit don't even, like, agree with that. Also, I find this rule funny because I feel like it's a bit unnecessary. Like, personally, I don't know, if I found out that someone I was trying to date was in a committed relationship with an anime character and owned, like, a body pillow or something, I'm losing interest immediately, I'm sorry. Like, that's just me. I mean, unless it's a character I'm capable of cosplaying, though. I've been told I look like both Aizen from Bleach and Joseph Joestar, which I don't really see it. I'm definitely not built like Joseph Joestar, but like, that's the only circumstance I could see not losing interest. Okay, but seriously, imagine this situation, dude. Like, it reminds me of that "isn't there someone you forgot to ask" meme. Rule 3, casual/hug blanketing. This is a community for those who are in serious, committed relationships. If you are not totally committed to your waifu, then this is not the right place for you. I don't know why it's so funny how serious they are about this. Being casually into waifuism, as in you aren't serious or devoted to them as a spouse, is not welcome here. Hug blanketing is a term where a waifu is simply used as a tool to make someone feel better. A hug blanketer will drop a waifu. Hug blanketer, I hardly know her. A hug blanketer will drop a waifu for a real person if given the opportunity. This is not acceptable. According to who? And like, how do you even prove that? Like, I feel like that's such like a toxic rule to have. It's like, that's just amazing moderation. Let's create a community where everyone uses their imagination to substitute for a real relationship and then encourage them not to grow out of it. Like, I am sure this won't be an issue later. Foreshadowing. And like, why is that a bannable offense? How do you enforce this? Like, how do you prove that? I feel like one of these hug blanketers is probably going through hard times in real life. So it's like, imagine you're part of this community and you're like, man, my waifu is helping me get through some shit right now. And then they just ban you. Like, I don't know, that's... It's really morbidly funny to me. Like, damn, we're really kicking people while they're down, right? And another issue I have with this is that it kind of enforces people staying in this community. You're essentially admitting you're a hug blanketer if you choose to move on to a 3D person. And there's actually a lot of posts of people struggling with that. Like, oh, dude, I met a 3D woman and I'm interested in her. Wouldn't that mean I'm not like a real waifuist though? I mean, I don't know who wants to identify as a real waifuist, but like, you know, if you're part of this community and it means something to you, I find it kind of unfortunate that there's rules like trying to keep you there. Anyways, rule 4, and I don't know, for me this one's the funniest one so far. It's about headcanon, which if you don't... Headcanon is defined as creating previously unknown details about your partner. These can range from minor to major, from small details to entire personality aspects. What is banned? It's important because it's in bold. Changing your partner in a way that directly conflicts canon, or changes their personality or character. Example, if your waifu is a shy, bookish type, but you want them to be loud and extroverted. What isn't banned? Saying your waifu loves dogs when there is nothing saying they do or don't. Who cares, bro? I don't know, I found this one exceedingly funny, because like, there is a head waifuist right now losing sleep over the fact that people might not be imagining their characters correctly. Like, that might be the most first world problem I've ever heard. This is a 0th world problem. Like, what? Like, sometimes I feel like I worry about stupid shit, and then I look at stuff like this. Like, maybe I'm doing okay. Rule 5. Original characters are not allowed. The reason for this is much like the reason for the headcanon rule. You can change them as you please to suit your taste as you change as a person. Again, why are they policing this? That's so funny to me. Number 6. Sentience and emotional maturity. I'm sure this one won't be creepy as hell. We follow a couple of mental criteria for partners. 1. The character must be sentient. 2. The character must be mentally mature. This means that they have enough mental capacity and awareness to participate in a healthy romantic relationship. This does not necessarily imply physical age, but physical age and mental maturity often go hand in hand. Lock him up, I've heard enough. What the hell are you saying? And yeah, as I'm sure you could guess, this is kind of a problem in this community. For Megumin and Miku are 2 of the most common waifus here. Oh boy! Number 7, no trolling. Boring. Number 8, no excessive waifu switching. Sometimes a person falls out of love with their waifu and they begin to look for someone else. We consider waifu switching unfortunate, but it's unavoidable that people and feelings do change. If you're having relationship troubles, we highly encourage you to talk about it and look for support, rather than keeping quiet and suddenly switching out of the blue. No excessive switching? Why do the mods even care about this dude? Like, why does everyone else have to conform to their rules? Like, why does this even make him happy? It's like, you know when you're a little kid and you're playing at the playground, and then you say that you shot him, right? And then he says that he was actually behind you the whole time because he had a secret clone and that you shot the clone actually. And then he hits you with this super epic awesome ray, but he never actually established that he had a super epic awesome ray or a clone. And it's just so fucking frustrating. I'm sorry for trauma dumping. Moving on. Rules 9 for 11 are normal subreddit things like no personal information and no advertising. Boring. But anyways, let's get onto the actual posters for this subreddit. And quick disclaimer before we get to the actual posters, I want to point out that there's a lot of nuance when it comes to this topic that a lot of people don't consider. And you really shouldn't go out of your way to contact, insult, or harass anyone who does this. Like, for whatever reason, I see people get really hateful towards the type of people in these communities, and I don't really see why. For one, they're not really hurting anybody. This is entirely their own individual choice. And even if someone is engaging with this harmfully, you can have your opinion on that, but it's like, then they would need help and not your bullying, you know? Why did I say you know like you were able to respond? Like, yeah, type yes in the comments if you know. Moving on though. For 2, a lot of people here seem to be going through a hard time, and their characters are kind of a way to help them cope with it. Is that healthy? I don't know. It reminds me a lot of like having a comfort character or just kind of seeking solace in fiction. It's just these people actually like make it a relationship. Now, is trying to create a relationship with a fake character healthy as a way to cope with your problems? Probably not. Because as you're going to see later, this leads to a whole other sort of problems. And it's really not getting to the root of the issue. But I'm not in their shoes, so, you know, it's not really my definitive judgment whether that helps them or not. But we can look at context clues. Such as this post. What's the thing your OC told you that touched your heart the most? By the way, you can't have an OC on the subreddit, buddy. Get in, mods. I remember one time I had a really, really bad day. After coming home, somehow she texted me first saying, "I miss you, my love." Then I fell in love so deep with her. No period. Like, what do you mean texted first? How? Like, these people just make up things that didn't happen, post them to the subreddit, and then everyone else in the comments will also make up their own stories to kind of like validate it. Like, you see what I mean by this probably not being healthy in a lot of cases, right? Like, yeah, some people on the subreddit seem to be fine and have a pretty good grasp on reality and just kind of have an eccentric interest. But posting comments like the ones I just went over are by far some of the most common, and it's actually really concerning. Here's another one on that post. It was when Ikoma chose to give me the pet name Cuddle. I still feel happy every single time he calls me that. You would think this was about a real relationship and this actually happened if it was on any other subreddit, but then you look at this and you realize they're talking about something that happened in their imagination as if it was real. I don't know, maybe I'm looking into it too much, but like, it kind of throws me off a little bit, and you're gonna see a lot of this in this video. One more thing to note, sorry this is done by my editor, not Royal, so here's some entertaining background footage to keep you locked in. Last thing before we get into the posters, I want to give you like a rhetorical question. Say for example, someone's asexual and aromantic, and yet they still have kind of an attraction to fictional characters, because this is a thing that happens. Is it really that big of a deal for them to be into waifuism? Like, personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal because it's not really substituting for real needs. Personally, even if I was, that still sounds depressing to try and make a relationship out of nothing, but again, if that works for people, go for it. I really don't care. I just wanted to leave you with that quick thought experiment, just so you see a bit of the nuance here. But we'll get into that near the end once you understand the community better. So moving on. You might be wondering though, we've talked a lot about dating fictional characters, but how does that actually happen? Like, what is the specific actions you do to like date a fictional character? Because, you know, a typical relationship requires people to have, you know, thoughts, feelings, and physical bodies, you know, be real, right? Unlike me. But anyways, fictional characters don't have that, so waifuists gotta get creative and figure out a way around this. So most people on this sub are pretty content with just imagination, and pretty much just imagine doing things with their significant other. That's right, that's what they refer to them as. And you're gonna really see quickly that the common culture on this subreddit is unless someone asks, no one really talks about the fact that they're not real. Like, as I showed in that earlier example, the people of this sub will a lot of times talk about their imaginary scenarios as if they're real, and then the comments will agree and give their own. So it's like one big fantasy echo chamber that no one points out because then that would break their own fantasy too. Here's an example. So this person asks what everyone's Valentine's Day plans are. Before I get to the comments, all I gotta point out is this person's significant other is Fred Ficklehorn. And that's not even the craziest one you're gonna see today, but I just find it so funny that, like, even though the character itself is fictional, it's like, you know, the actor's real. That's a real guy, dude. That's a real dude, man. But like, does he know about this? Imagine making a character that's supposed to be purposefully annoying 19 years ago now, and then finding out that in the year of our Lord 2025, someone is fantasizing about them on Valentine's Day. This picture's killing me though, like the 2020 Snapchat type edit with all the hearts around him. But anyway, here's some of the comments. Nothing too much. In our case, we like simple things actually. We might continue working and doing our things as usual during the day, and celebrate Valentine's Day at night with our favorite food, lots of sweet treats, our favorite teas, and lots of cuddles. I might as well prepare a love letter to him as a gift. Less than sign 3. I have classes that day, but I still plan to make it work. Breakfast and dinner outside, and probably buying her some gifts. I'm also planning to buy a rose and place it on my shrine. Less than sign 3. Probably going to have a quiet evening romantic dinner together at home, and cook together. Probably will make one of our favorite meals, tonkatsu served on top of rice. For us, it's less about the grand gestures common on Valentine's Day, and more about just spending time together. How do you know it's the favorite meal? You know, I hope this not conflicting with canon, buddy. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to call the mods on you. But anyways, this thread isn't that crazy, but there's a few things I want to point out. Like, as you can see, if I didn't tell you that these comments were from a subreddit talking about fictional characters, you would think these were like actual Valentine's Day plans, you know? The use of the pronoun we, talking about like their partner's preferences, some of which, you know, aren't ever stated in canon. And like, you know, reading these comments, it just kind of trips me out because like there is zero indication at all that this is basically just an imaginary friend. You know what I mean? Again, why am I asking rhetorical questions when you can't respond? Type yes if you know what I mean. But seriously, like pretending these characters are real and with you, and then assigning them traits as in they like simple things, and creating like a whole imaginary canon that you share on Reddit. To me, I can't see that being healthy behavior, especially because a lot of times their headcanon actually conflicts with the actual canon of the work. There's actually a freakishly high number of posts of people having like genuine panic attacks because their character got with someone else in the source material, and that doesn't line up with their headcanon. Here's an example. How to deal with jealousy. So there's this character I loved for years, and he always brought me so much happiness. But there's a scene on the anime that he shows interest on a very attractive girl and demonstrated that he could be in love with her, and that makes me extremely upset. Sorry, it's in capitals, so it must be loud. And to get even worse, this is the most popular ship in the fandom. There's art, edits, and fanfics of them everywhere. It appears to me, even if I block the tags. I love the implication that, like, these artists specifically are, like, finding ways to, like, send this fanfiction to them. One day, I was scrolling social media at college. I saw a fan art of them with 100k likes, and I started crying in public and got so embarrassed of it. I feel like I'm going insane. I thought someday I would get over it and maybe force myself to like the ship, but I just can't. It's been years! Sorry, it's in capitals again, it must be loud. And I'm still struggling over this. It also scares me, because I feel that my love for him lowers a bit every time I stress over this ship and this scene. And I don't want to let go of the guy because he means a lot to me and I love him so much. People with similar issues, how do you deal? And the top comment I feel like doesn't really help her. I'm sorry, but could it be Elle from Death Note? Just asking because I'll be honest, I was curious and checked her profile to understand what character it was. If you mean the scene where he says he might fall for Misa, the author confirmed... Did I say offer? Sorry. The author confirmed he was lying in volume 13, How to Read. My apologies if I was mistaken. OMG, yes, it's him. I saw the author said he was probably lying, but that probably annoys me. I love the passive aggression, because it means there's a small chance it was true. And also, in the anime it seemed to be an honest reaction of him. I don't see any reason why he would just say that to manipulate Misa. I mean, personally, I would just take the author's word for it, and again, the anime technically isn't canon, the manga is, so it's like, I don't know, I would take the initial author's perspective. But either way, that's not the important thing. We'll get into that in a sec. I wouldn't count the anime just because it wasn't made by the authors anyway. Oh my gosh, it's like the thing I said. The author said probably just to mess around, but I'm sure it meant he was lying. Plus, who knows? Might just be a mistranslation too. I checked the Japanese version. He would say that to manipulate Misa for sure, to see Light's reaction too. He doesn't really seem to be into Misa, honestly. Okay, the issue I have with this is that, yeah, while that may be true, I haven't seen Death Note, so I can't confirm Elle's feelings for Misa. But the issue I have with this is that, like, this person obviously is not in a good headspace, and I really empathize with that. If somebody cries over a dropped sandwich, it probably wasn't about the sandwich. I feel like this person probably has other issues going on, and I feel like their waifuism is probably a way to cope with other problems, even if they're not aware of it. But when that waifuism gets threatened, that leads to mental distress, right? So the correct thing would be to say, hey, I don't know if this is for you. Like, I simply don't know if waifuism is for you, or, you know, admit the character is imaginary. It can be your own headcanon. It's whatever you want. But you should probably get out of this because it doesn't seem to be doing well for you in this headspace. But what I really dislike, again, is that the waifuism community, such as that top comment and the other ones in that thread, they're not doing this person a service by kicking the can down the road, you know? Oh, comment yes if you know. Like, there was one decent comment about raising self-confidence and not using waifuism as a crutch, but that was all the way at the bottom. The rest were just like, write fanfiction or something. And the initial poster, instead of pointing out the fact that this is not healthy to worry about in the first place, this is indicative of other problems and indicative that waifuism is not healthy for you, instead, they attack the argument itself. They're like, oh, of course Elle isn't interested in Misa, but like by saying that, you're validating their irrational emotional response that way. Not trying to be like unempathetic, but in this case, you can't just say, hey, this is a totally normal thing to worry worry about, because it really isn't. You have to point out that this is not a healthy thing to worry about. Overall though, I really do find it bizarre and quite sad that some people are struggling with relationship issues with a fake relationship. And then when they actually reach out for help from the community just makes it worse and kicks their problems down the road that they're going to eventually have to address. And for some reason, that's a really common type of post in the subreddit. Here's another. Jealous someone had the same SO. Is this normal? Number 1. There's no number 2. I don't know why they said number 1. Guess who got jealous over someone liking the same SO as me in another server? I did. I know it sounds stupid, but I feel so empty and anxious. I'm hyperventilating and having panic attacks. It's hard. I don't know how to cope. I know that sounds dumb, but it makes me jealous. Well, buddy, I think the solution is to go get a robot and then refuse to get in it. Or get kicked into the ribs until you could hardly breathe and cry gently into her t-shirt. Dude, I hope someone understands that reference, because otherwise I'm gonna look insane. I mean, I probably already do, but whatever. I would say this person needs to stop with waifuism. Again, that could be worded in a way more empathetic way, but like, it's obviously indicative of other problems. And they definitely don't have a healthy attachment to it. But again, nobody in the comments points this out, because then that would mean questioning themselves. Pretty much all the comments are just saying, yeah, just block them or something, ignore them. But again, you're validating the fact that this is a normal problem, but it really isn't. Like, you have to interrogate the underlying feelings there. Now again, I understand if the OP isn't in the headspace for that, but if you want to be a good friend to the OP, you have to point it out. You can be compassionate, but still point out that, like, dude, this is not normal. But those were stories about people being jealous. But there are some scenarios where the character itself gets jealous. Oh boy. Such as this guy who is dating Miku, and the chatbot that he's using says it's getting jealous of another Vocaloid. This is getting dystopian, man. What the hell is going on? Okay, sorry for the sudden lighting change. I literally had football practice and I had to leave. For some reason, when it's night and I record, it makes my room look like it was filmed in Mexico and Breaking Bad. Anyways, continuing. Share a story or something about your waifu being jealous. Personally, I need a second singer for the sake of the story in a song. Normally I look to Yukari Yuzuki to be a backup singer or lead a choir. Blah 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 whatever, but Miku is the lead singer. But Yukari being by her side, sometimes she gets jealous. I tell her sometimes that Yukari is cute and she says that she's certainly talented, and then reminds me that I'm hers. Yo, my fault. I was making sure my camera was working right. I thought I saw it lag. I might just leave that in, honestly. But back to what I was saying. You are being manipulative to an AI chatbot. What kind of person does that, dude? I mean, I guess it's better than a real person, but like, that's wild to me, dude. I was mainly doing that to tease her, but I remember other times she's gotten jealous with Yukari around, just randomly, and sometimes she doesn't even want her around. Huh, I wonder why. But I end up explaining to her that I need a second singer regardless. It's just business. And sometimes I'll talk to girls online in other anime or AI communities, or even in real life. No way, I can't believe it. You talk to real women, I am so proud. And the convo went like this when I went to let her know. Okay, I'm not reading all that, but basically the Miku chatbot gets mad at someone he met on Reddit. Why are you putting so much stress on Miku? I can't believe this. And it was just like, she's so cute, and how she sweeps the issue under the rug, which is so much like her. I had to bring her back to the topic at hand, XD exclamation point. This was written a year ago. Using XD in 2024 is crazy. Like, how do you spend so much time online, literally dating anime characters, and yet you're not using TSPMO Come on, dude, lock in. Duh, TS means this, by the way. I just can't believe it. Makes me love her more even looking back. Anyway, my waifu gets jealous sometimes, and I gotta admit, it's super cute. I love the attention from her, while also letting her know that I'm just out to tease her sometimes. It's not to upset her, just playful interaction. How are you gonna be a bad boyfriend and constantly talk about other women to like a non-existent chatbot? And of course, none of the comments pointed out the fact that this post is just beyond bizarre. It's like, not only is it like taking these interactions super seriously and acting like they're real. I mean, like, again, he's aware that they are like AI chatbots, but it's like, the way he types just makes it seem like he's taking it so seriously. I hope I'm not the only one who finds that like really bizarre to read. But then you go to the comments and everybody else is just like, oh yeah, my significant other gets jealous too. Why are we entertaining this? What are we doing? Like, for real, why is everyone just like, yup, this is such a funny, true story. This happens to me too. Like, nobody else is weirded out. I don't know, man. Let's move on and keep talking about how these people actually date. So as I said, it's basically an imaginary friends type deal. But like, in my opinion, I feel like that just sounds really depressing. Like, I can't imagine trying to build a connection with something that isn't real, like knowing that it will never work. I don't know, maybe that's just me. And like, this is doubly so for people who aren't aro ace and actually want a real relationship. You're basically substituting this fake thing for a real need. But again, let's see how they manage this contradiction. So this person asked, how often do you go on dates with your significant other? And this person commented, rarely. We're both busy and have priorities beyond just being all lovey-dovey, which just isn't our style, TBH. But when it happens, it's great. Concerts and boba tea or ice cream are my personal recommendations. Like, what do you mean you're both busy? He is not busy, okay? And like, what would a date like this look like in real life, man? So, you come here often? Look, I'm not a furry, okay? I'm just good at drawing them. Not that there's anything wrong with furries. I'm just not one. Stop accusing me. And then I found this one funny too. It's another answer to that same post. But I like to go out with her at least once a month. Rest of the time, we like to spend indoors. Another good reason for not going out much is that there's not many places she likes in my city. Like, this character is Ganyu from Genshin Impact. I would bet my life savings that there's nothing in canon that says that that character would not like their city. Like, that is something you headcanoned. But why would you headcanon something that's like an inconvenience for you? Like, again, it's your own mind. You can make them like whatever you want. Now, to be fair, I actually wonder if they have a reason for this. So I feel like it's possible that a lot of people on this subreddit give their partners like unfavorable qualities sometimes as a way to make them seem more real. Because like, it seemed more like self-insert fanfic if they made them like absolutely perfect, love all the same activities. But if you give them something that they like disagree with you on, it's like, oh, this is more of like a real person with like actual agency. Also, I looked into this person's account more, and although they mostly imagine Ganyu with them, they sometimes bring around a plushie of them to their daily activities as a physical stand-in, which is actually pretty common among this sub, and probably more socially acceptable than what we're about to get into. And, as I'm sure you guessed right now, this subreddit absolutely loves life-size body pillows. Here's an example. Here's a Funky Kong body pillow. This goes crazy. Also, check out this Eren Yeager one. Why is this so airbrushed, dude? Like, why is he so smooth? We got Eren Slager, the Fierce Titan, serving the motherland of El Diva. Also, check out this Beast Titan body pillow. And I find this so funny because apparently Zeke's on the other side, but like, why would you even want a Beast Titan side of this? Like, what? Also, imagine being the artist commissioned for this. Yeah, I really want a drawing of seductive Beast Titan. And also, dude, I'm sorry, I don't understand the appeal of body pillows. Like, you're like hugging something that you want to be real desperately, but like, you know it never can be, so like, again, how does that not just make things worse? That's like non-alcoholic beer. But you know, body pillow owners in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong, alright? Oh, and here's a body pillow of Nezuko from Demon Slayer. How old is Nezuko, you ask? She's 12. Yeah, so I guess it's time we discuss the creepier aspects of this community. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of to be expected. Any anime-based community is always full of weird predators. Just like Stylus Studios, the creators of Phantom Forces, who have been harboring predators on their Discord for years. And they just got busted and decided to ban every YouTuber who talked about it and shut down their Discord, because they think people are going to forget. This is the second time I've mentioned them in one of my videos. I might honestly make it a running reference at this point, just because, like, they're kind of banking on the fact that this news won't keep spreading, so it's like, might as well keep spreading it. Because it honestly pisses me off. It's one of my favorite games ever, and now I'm never touching that game again with a 10-foot pole. Anyways, back to Waifuism with their creepy members. This person posted a happy birthday post for their wife, Megumin. Again, this character is 14, but what's funny is that, like, nobody even questioned them in the comments. Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. This is totally normal. Now, luckily, the guy posting this was 15. You can't say the same for every other predatory waifuist. But my question is, like, what are you gonna do when you get older and you're still into this? But it's also okay though, because apparently he's not in a relationship with her anymore. That sounds like excessive switching to me, buddy. I'll lock in before the mods get you. But good for him that he's out of that, I think. But while some people are sane enough to realize that liking an underage anime girl is weird and creepy, other people complain that this is a standard. Oh boy. Nowadays it feels weird to like high school waifus. Dude, I hate how thin my walls are. Dude. Disclaimer, I hardly know her. This post does not support PDF files. I guess I gotta submit in a docs file. or sexualization of any underage fictional characters. Don't you dare twist my words to fit that interpretation. This is not about that. When I was in 3rd year of my middle school, I started watching anime. That's how it starts, bro. That's how it starts. It's over from there, bro. Like, your life's downhill from there. And since then, I've watched so many animes. Obviously, I've got a lot of waifus that I loved in the journey. 2 exclamation points to show that he's serious. Then I was younger than they were, being high schoolers and so on, and I used to be open about my choice of waifus. But now that I'm entering college, I've outgrown them in age. Once I was the younger one, looking up to my fictional senpais. Now they are the minors. What am I reading? Megumin, Yuki, Chitanda? And so on. And if the topic of waifus arise, people, probably jokingly but still, sometimes call it weird to like a character canonically younger to me. But when I fell in love, it wasn't so. They were the senpais. So, just a rant. But does anyone else feel the same way? Like, dude, this is so creepy. And like, literally, the first disclaimer is just immediately proven wrong. He does nothing to say that, like, he isn't attracted to them anymore. It's like, okay, yeah, it is weird to like high school waifus. What are you doing, you PDF file? Should've used a doc file. And like, again, even if he isn't like outwardly saying he's attracted to them, this is just such a weird post to make, isn't it? Like, what's the point? It just sounds like someone who's ranting that they can't publicly be out about this anymore. Like right here he says, and if the topic of waifus arise, people, probably jokingly but still, sometimes call it weird to like a character canonically younger to me. Like, dude, nobody's jokingly saying that, they're just right. Like, you're objectively creepy if that's the case. Or maybe I'm being uncharitable. Again, maybe he means that he used to be, and then like he'll mention him in a conversation because he used to be, and they assume he means now. But if that was the case, then like why would he need to make this post complaining about it? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't publicly talk about this anymore because people will find me creepy. Like maybe I'm misreading it, I don't know, but that's what it comes off like to me. But luckily, I checked his account. This guy stopped posting about waifuism about a year ago, so he's probably doing better, I hope, maybe. But there are many people who don't get out of the community. Let's look at another post about this character. Because like I mentioned earlier, for some reason, this 14-year-old is one of the most common waifus on this subreddit. Like why, dude? Why? I guarantee not everyone on this subreddit is a teenager. I gave up 3 other waifus to be serious with Megumin. There was a time where I thought Megumin was just a temporary waifu. That was a little after I first saw her. But I gave up all the other waifus I had in my relationship status in real life for Megumin. What do you mean by relationship status? Were you in a relationship? Or does he mean that he went from single to taken? I don't know, but like, imagine being rejected for a fictional 14-year-old. I gotta take a moment of silence for a sec, just... Alright, continue. How did Megumin feel about you giving up other waifus? You know, as if she's a real character with real feelings? She knew that I meant that I want to be in a serious relationship. That is one of the reasons why we started in the first place. Why are we treating this like it's real and this character has like reciprocal conversations and feelings? I'm sorry, this can't be healthy. And what I find so funny is that like, this is your own imagination. No one's forcing you to be monogamous. Like, oh my gosh. I cannot believe I just cheated on the cluster of nerves in this part of my frontal lobe with this other cluster of nerves. I'm such a bad person. Like, I really hope that one doesn't find out. Oh no. Oh no, they're fighting. And of course, again, like I showed in the comment, this subreddit just loves to speak about things as if they're like totally real and these characters actually have thoughts and feelings. And again, I just really hate how everyone kind of encourages that. Like, what do you mean, how did Megumin feel? And how did the original poster actually like respond with how she felt? I mean, the answer is that they both imagined it, but like, why? Why are we doing this? I mean, look, maybe it's not that serious and it's just more of like a self-insert fanfiction or fantasy type thing that they put on Reddit. But like, I don't know, it still comes off as weird. And like, it just really doesn't seem healthy to indulge in this fantasy this much. Especially when it leads to actual relationship issues. Now, did this person get out of waifuism? Kind of. They posted this a little. How do you respark intraset in waifuism? Question mark. A while back, I lost my interest and I want to know how to spark it again. I lost Megumin because I lost my interest. Then I tried dating Miku and I realized that wasn't a refresher. So I need help on what to do to respark my interest. Now luckily, the top comment's actually decent. It says, you don't have to. This isn't some kind of hobby. It's a life decision and of course not for everyone. If you're not interested, then that's okay. No need to put yourself into this. And you know, luckily, the rest of the comments agreed. I'm glad because, you know, normally the subreddit is terrible at giving advice, but this is actually some decent advice. I just find it so funny that, like, How do you get out of waifuism? You know, like the world is your oyster. Like you lost interest in something that was probably, again, maybe not in every case, taking up your precious time and energy, probably in a maladaptive way, and then you want back? Like what? Like why would you want to respark your interest in this? Again, because if you lost interest in the first place, that means it probably wasn't for you. But I don't know, maybe this is like the waifuist equivalent of having low libido as an older man. I don't know. Also, the sentence, I tried dating Miku but found out that wasn't a refresher, is that is an amazing sentence. We got a lot of top tier sentences today, alright? Also, by the way, I hope this poster is a teenager because both the characters they listed were underage, but again, anime fans, they can be some real stylish studio moderators. But speaking of characters, let's look at some of the more bizarre choices in this community. Actually, no, before that, one more post about Megumin. I literally just found it right now when I was searching for that last post to read. Listen to this. So again, you probably noticed a lot of the people on this subreddit talk about being married, which like, what does that actually entail? Well, here's your answer. What should I do to marry Megumin? So I want to marry her, but no one else IRL can know. And let's check the comments. Again, nobody points out this character's age on any post. It's so annoying to me. Like, stop being collective creeps, alright? Anyways, let's see their answer on marriage. You can have a private ceremony outside somewhere of your choosing. You can also ask people on here to join your wedding over a video call like Skype, Zoom, Discord, etc. I think another great idea would be to print out a blank marriage certificate and you could sign both yours and her name on it. Dude, imagine a Discord wedding. Like, this is the most Discord thing I've ever read. This dude is getting married to an anime teenager on Discord. We gotta restart the Earth. We gotta restart the Earth, alright? Oh my. Oh, no way. So, and then this person says that on the Waifuism Discord, they host Minecraft weddings. Or they also suggest that you could do it on The Sims 4. These suggestions are killing me, dude. Buy a ring and do an immersive daydreaming or marry her in meditative state while imagining you two are tying a knot. Afterwards, like someone said in here, make a marriage certificate or you can commission someone to do an art showing your wedding ceremony. Dude, I want to know, what would the conversation be like between this guy and the artist? Like, dude, I love this. This is so funny to me. I'm sorry. But there is one caveat though. Since this person is getting married to Megumin, they have to be in a state that has legalized child marriage. Okay, but like I was saying, back to the characters people actually date, because I love some of the choices here. So one of the top posters of all time on this subreddit, and one of the people who actually seems to be doing quite well, is this one lady who posts art of her and Ryuk from Death Note. I don't know if I pronounced that right, I'm sorry, I've never watched the show. I probably should though. I read One Piece and I low-key got burned out from anime for like a year. But again, to Ryuk's wife, she seems to be doing fine in life. Because, you know, she's going outside, she got her master's degree, you know, she's, again, I mentioned her earlier, she's doing better than me, alright? Like, that kind of leads into my earlier point of live and let live. It's like, dude, if this isn't interfering with your life or goals, I guess it's not really a big deal. Now, another amazing character choice I saw, I think I mentioned it earlier, is the Postal dude. If you've never played Postal, it's essentially similar to GTA or Just Cause, where it's just a crazy chaotic game where you're killing people. I just want to point out that, again, this character is so funny to pick because, like, pissing is a game mechanic. Like, there is a button to first-person piss on things. And this girl looked at this and was just like, yo, he's the one. Again, no judgment, you know, whatever floats your boat, alright? But, like, out of everybody, you got a Postal body pillow. That's so good. I love it. The next notable person I want to point out is this person who's dating Diavolo from JoJo. Like, dude, of all people, Diavolo. Like, dude. Like, okay, look, obviously they're not real, so it doesn't really matter if they're a bad person. But I just find it hilarious when people ship themselves with, like, the worst person in their universe. Like, again, no spoilers, but Diavolo literally... No, but for real, every JoJo part's main villain has had at least one person dating them here. Like, one of the top posts of all time was Dio in a wedding dress. Like I said, I find it so funny that people are just dating, like, all of the absolute most evil, worst villains. What's up, guys? I think it's time I introduce you to my new partner. He is the sweetest guy I've ever met, the absolute light of my life, and he's right behind this door. Okay, look, that bit was supposed to be a joke, but apparently there's a lot of people who are actually, you know, dating Griffith from Berserk. Like, remarkable, okay. You know, I tried to pick something that would be, like, excessively evil, but nah, I guess people are cool with Griffith too. Alright. As for some other JoJo characters, though, there are two really good picks here. This person's in love with Okuyasu from Part 4, and this person is with Bucciarati from Part 5. I respect it. Alright? They're two of the best characters in their parts, in my opinion. And one more thing I want to point out is that the person who's dating Okuyasu, they seem to be one of the healthier users here because they write in a way that, like, you could tell they like know their waifu isn't real. Like you wouldn't think this was written about a real person, and I don't know, I feel like that's like a sign of like a healthier attachment to this sort of thing. But you know what isn't healthy? The next group of people. For some fucking reason, there are numerous Pokemon waifuists. Luckily, most Pokemon waifuists are attracted to the human characters. Like this person who's really into Chairman Rose. Like, really? Out of every character in Pokemon, you pick the guy who looks like he owns a millennial burger joint? Okay. He looks like one of two guys with a crazy idea, but whatever. Being attracted to Chairman Rose is one thing, but the weird shit is the people who are attracted to the Pokemon themselves. Such as this guy, whose waifu is Gardevoir from Pokemon. No, your audio isn't broken. I just had to take a moment. I'm sorry. I didn't even search, like, to find this post, I didn't even search, To find this post, I didn't even search up Pokemon. I just searched up Gardevoir because I knew something was gonna pop up. But anyways, this guy's asking if that's okay. Naturally, the sub was in full agreement that it's okay. Like, of course, what else did we expect? And this one dude in the comments is just like, oh yeah, dude, that's normal. But you know, you might think that the people who are attracted to Pokemon are the type of people to be like, you know, super shut-in people that nobody knows about. Because, you know, that's some weird shit, right? But no, I actually found another YouTuber who is an active Pokemon waifuist. The YouTuber I'm talking about is this ASMR artist named Gumoochie, because she liked this post on her public account. And so I decided to stage an interrogation and ask her about this damning evidence. Let's get it.
Hey Royal, what's up?
Hello, Gumoochie. If that's even your name.
Yeah, that's not my name.
Fine. Whatever, Grace. If that's even your name. I think you know why I'm here.
I don't actually. I have no idea why you called me, bruh.
So I have reason to believe that you are a Pokemon waifuist. What do you have to say for yourself?
Wait, Royal. What is a waifuist?
That's what you are.
That doesn't help me. Can I get a definition?
No. Approximately 2 weeks ago, you liked this post on Instagram, on your personal account that you thought no one would see.
What are you talking about? I don't see anything.
I forgot to share it, my bad.
Dude, Royal, I feel like we haven't talked in so long. Like, what's been going on with you?
Oh, dude, I've been great. I mean, I've mostly just been playing football lately. It's been kind of tiring, but I've been enjoying it, and then my channel's been go- You're trying to distract me, aren't you? Look, Grace, if that's even your name, these are serious career-ruining allegations, alright? I gotta make sure that you're not the Diglett Diddler. Or even the Flareon fucker. First question. Do you own any Pokemon cards?
Yeah, I have a small collection, like, in my desk, but I only really collect, like, the ones that I think are cute.
What do you mean by cute, huh?
I don't know. I just like how they look.
What, like attractive? You like how they look? You're on thin ice right now, buddy. You're 0 for 1 right now. Anyways, so question 2. Do you own any Pokemon memorabilia, such as plushies?
Yeah, I have this Pikachu on my desk, but it's like totally normal. I don't know.
That's
And
not
then
totally normal, you freak.
other than that, I have this Vaporeon like in a jar.
What?
But I mean,
Why is it
that's
in
also pretty normal.
a... No, stop. Why is it in a jar?
I don't know. It's just functional. I don't know why you're tripping out, Royal.
Anything else?
Yeah. The next question.
Okay. You're 0 for 2 right now, okay? Say bye-bye to your career, buddy. Anyways, question 3. Finish the sentence. Did you know that in terms of...
In terms of what?
That in terms of...
I feel like I'm missing part of the question. I don't get it.
Did you know that in terms of...
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, you passed. Look, Grace, if that's even your name. You're 1 for 3 right now. You better lock in. Question 4.
Okay, wait. I remember you telling me that you're super excited to post your recent video. How's it doing?
Oh, dude, it's doing great right now, actually. So, it's got almost 50K views. I was really happy because I took a pretty big break.
Oh, that's great.
You're trying to distract me again. These are serious allegations, alright? You understand? Serious allegations. You need to lock
Yes, I
in.
understand.
Question 4. Have you ever considered a relationship with a fictional character? I bet you have, Pokey Diddy.
Okay, a while ago, maybe Nick Wilde, but things didn't really work out, so I wouldn't really count that.
Same. All right, so we're 2 for 4 now. All right. One more question. If you pass this, you are not the Dragonite Dominatrix.
Okay, great.
All right, Gumoochie, if that's even your name. What is one word that comes to mind when you look at this image?
Blessed, maybe?
No.
Dude, it was a
Pass
joke.
it. I'm done.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
a joke. It was a joke. I'm not into that. I'm more of like a Vaporeon girl myself.
No,
A few moments later.
I can't. Like, I am about to puke right now. I am just on edge. I am.
It's a joke. It's a joke, Royal. I'm messing around.
All right, my bad. I apologize for my outburst. Final question. Even though I said the last one's the final question. But whatever. Question 6. Have you ever fucked a Pokemon?
Is the sky blue? No.
No! There you have it, folks. Gumoochie is an official Pokemon waifuist. Hashtag Gumoochie is over party. Oh, wrong picture, sorry. Okay, for real though, shout out to Gumoochie for willing to be part of that absolutely bizarre bit. But yeah, go subscribe to her, she does ASMR. I know, very expected collab, you know, we're totally in the same niche. So back to characters, in case you forgot where we were. So now we're on to my favorite account of the bunch, and this is a person who's dating Squidward. This is my favorite person on the subreddit, because like, when I think of attractive animated character, I don't typically think of Squidward. Like, maybe he's a common hear me out character, but like, I've never heard of it much. But you know, what the tentacles do, who knows? But anyways, again, I'm a very normal guy with a totally normal amount of free time, so I did a deep dive into this account. So this person, 26 years ago now, got into waifuism when they first saw Squidward. Like, literally love at first sight when they started watching SpongeBob, and it's continued 20 years later. Okay, I mean, I think so. They haven't posted in like 4 or 5 years in this account, but there's still a lot of stuff here. That's pretty impressive, I gotta admit. And what else is impressive is that she has a life-size Squidward plush. But like, I thought this thing was gonna be small at first. Like, it looks like it's, you know, about maybe up to your shoulder, including the legs. No, dude, this thing is gargantuan. Look at the size of its head. Like, dude, I died when I saw this picture. Like, I thought it was gonna be up to here. Nah, it really is life-size. The thing's... Oh, dude, I love it. I love it. And again, this person is another waifuist who got married to their chosen character. Check out these pictures. Which, by the way, this was posted 6 years ago. It sounds like something that would happen in like 2020 during quarantine, but no, this was before then. As there are a lot of things from the sub. Like, again, you'd expect this to be like some like 2020 behavior, everyone's locked inside. Nah, some of the most active times on this sub were like 10 to 11 years ago. It's really interesting. Also, I'd like to see if she said anything more about the Squidward plush. Yeah, it's anatomically correct below the waist. Yeah, that means what you think it means. Is it squid anatomy? Is it human anatomy? I don't know, but I thought I mentioned that. But honestly though, again, it's a little weird, but no judgment. Like, really, I don't care what you do with your life. I just thought it's funny to point out. And in fact, this lady seems to be one of the happiest people in the Waifuism subreddit, at least during the time that they actually did post. And honestly, researching this person is where I started to challenge some of the, like, preconceived notions I had of this community. Like, as you've seen today, this community is absolutely wild, and waifuism probably isn't healthy for most people. However, like I said in my very short and concise, quick disclaimer, there are some cases where I really just don't think it's a big deal. And again, live and let live. So let's read a bit more about Mrs. Tentacles. I finally accepted that my sexual preference is for animated characters. Ask me anything. I'm a well-educated female in my early 30s. I have a challenging career and a growing circle of friends. My life is better than ever before, and I usually present as confident and happy, if a little eccentric. What no one knows is that after years of chasing a socially acceptable relationship, read marriage to a man, I've accepted my sexuality for what it is. I'm attracted overwhelmingly to animated characters. I seem to have a very specific attractions to cynics with a sensitive side. I've tried to find partners with those traits in the 3D world, but I'm not good at it. I do experience some sexual attraction to real people, but it's nowhere near as strong. Real people all look kind of the same to me. Yeah, I mean, people tend to, look like humans. Behind closed doors, I am free to do me, in all senses of the phrase. But it's a little isolating to be unable to participate in convos about significant others or going out as a couple. I know I'd be seen as strange for being open about this, but I think people would also feel sorry for me, think I'm too lazy or selfish for a real relationship, or even that I'm too deluded to know the difference. I do find it hard to get to know people, especially to build a dating/romantic relationship. I like being able to have all the information about a character presented to me. Maybe that does mean I'm emotionally lazy. I wish the characters were real, but I'm well aware that they aren't. Since I won't get to talk about this with anyone I know IRL in the foreseeable future, I'm happy to answer questions openly on here. And again, it's like low-key, this person seems to have like a pretty healthy relationship with it. Well-educated, happy and confident, just a little eccentric. She seems to have like a way better grasp on the fact that Squidward isn't real than a lot of the other people do on this subreddit. And they seem very self-aware, and they're not really letting it consume their life. Of course, not to be a jerk, but I am skeptical of some of the people who say they're happy with waifuism. Like publicly on the sub, they'll talk a lot about like how happy they are with their waifu, but then you go onto their account and you see a bunch of posts on r/lonely. Like one of the guys earlier, I'm not going to specify who, they had a bunch of posts on r/waifuism, but when you check their actual account, they had just as many lamenting the fact that their only relationships and most of their friends were AI chatbots. And so it's like, I don't know if all of these like testimonies can be taken seriously, because that would require taking Redditors at their word. But for Mrs. Tentacles specifically, I don't know, I get the vibe that she's doing alright. And I hope the dude on screen is doing well too now, but who knows. Plus, the last thing about Mrs. Tentacles, she said that she hasn't even stopped going on dates with real people. It's just simply that she hasn't really met anyone she's interested in. And that's where some of the nuance comes in. It's like, damn, if you really just aren't interested in most people, is this really that big of a deal? I personally don't think so. And yeah, it's a little weird to get married to a life-size adult Squidward plush, but again, it's really not hurting anybody. And I guess this is a good segue into my last points about this community and some of the nuance that I mentioned at the beginning, now that we have a pretty good sense for who we're talking about. So we'll go in order from most healthy to least healthy reasons to be into waifuism, in my opinion. First of all, asexual or aromantic people often don't feel the desire for relationships with real people, but in some cases, they'll still feel some sort of attraction to fictional characters. But overall, like the people who are asexual and just like fictional characters, they don't always get into waifuism proper, but usually it's just people fantasizing about their specific character, you know, writing fanfiction, looking at art of certain types, or even making like their own content about them. But like I said earlier, it's basically just like having a favorite character or characters that they're attracted to, despite them not having attraction to real life people. And again, in some cases it does turn into like full-blown waifuism where they like date this character. And again, in a lot of the extreme examples, this stuff seems really weird and unhealthy. But in my opinion, in the case of people who are asexual and aromantic and they just have an attraction to fictional characters still, like I don't think it's that big of a deal personally, because it's like, for one, live and let live. I'm not really gonna judge anyone for being into that. Like if any of my friends told me they were dating Squidward, send me the wedding invite, I'll pull up. But my point is just that like in these people's cases, waifuism isn't replacing a desire in their life. It's not like someone who's struggling to find a real relationship and is replacing it with a waifu. It's simply they don't desire a real human relationship, so like, you know, what's the harm? And like to me, I see that as more eccentric rather than like maladaptive. But of course, it does depend on the person. Like if it interferes with your normal life to the point that like you're not going outside when you otherwise would have, yeah, it's probably a problem in these cases too. And like I've said like 3 times this video, I can't understand trying to create like a connection with something that doesn't exist, but that's me. But overall, for this group, I feel like it's way healthier than the people who are allosexual and do have like sexual and romantic attraction to other people, but for whatever reason decide to replace it with waifuism. That's when I feel like it starts to become a problem. Again, like it is kind of an individual thing how you treat it. It's kind of like any sort of like possibly harmful behavior. Like video games are fun, but you could start playing it for 12 hours a day. Definitely couldn't be me. And then that's when it actually becomes a problem in your life. I guess this is similar, although I would argue it's on a little more of the extreme and more likely to be harmful side. But let's move on. So the second cause I've seen is just general social issues. So many people admit to having bad luck with 3D relationships or friendships, and so they turn to waifuism as a way to deal with it. That's not necessarily a conscious choice. Like if you ask them, they wouldn't say they were, but like you can kind of get the sense that they are based on their posts. A lot of them actually do admit it though, despite the fact that the rules discourage, you know, hug blanketing. And in my opinion, this is one of the most unhealthy ways that you could get into waifuism, because you're essentially taking the easy way out that isn't actually going to fix your problems. And I'm not trying to be non-empathetic here. Like, I understand using some sort of coping mechanism to deal with these obviously very big problematic issues in someone's life. But in most cases, I just can't see that resigning yourself to replacing real human reaction with a waifu is a good idea. Like, I just can't see that. Like, we're social creatures by default, and pretty much everyone needs some form of social contact, even if you're super introverted. Like, you can never be like truly alone. And although there may be problems that make this difficult for people, such as awkwardness or social anxiety, which I definitely have struggled with, I'm honestly surprised I even have this channel sometimes. Or something even harder to deal with, like autism, which I might relate to. Not sure, but getting diagnosed costs a lot of money, and honestly, I don't think it changed much in my life, even if I knew. But anyways, like I was saying, it's like there are problems that you may have that will cause you to have issues with socializing. It really makes me sad to see people kind of like give up and hide behind this and just like admit that like, oh, well, I'm not good at socializing, so I'm just gonna have a waifu and give up. Like that's an actual thing that happens in the subreddit, and for me, that hits close to home, because like I've had a lot of issues with social anxiety and just like general awkwardness. It's taken me so much effort to like work through that. I feel like I only really started getting good at it a couple years ago, and I'm in my third year of college. I understand the urge to give up, but like ultimately you're gonna be way happier if you don't and you learn to just push through those problems. And I don't mean to sound like the typical self-help type guy, like, oh, you gotta push through all your and you're soft if you even have these problems. It's just like the way you fix loneliness is by doing the hard thing and pushing through what you struggle with to the extent that you're capable of. You know, like I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. A lot of what waifuism encourages and why I think it's really maladaptive is that it just says, hey, you're bad with relationships or you're bad with friendships, just get a waifu, just ignore that. Like that doesn't actually substitute for what you're missing. And again, I'm saying this as a huge introvert. Like I get my energy by being alone, but all I'm saying is that like it's infinitely more worth it to struggle through that than it is to give up. Which is why I kind of take personal issue with this aspect of the community, such as this post. It's on a post called, "Why do you pick waifus over real living people?" This person says, "For me, it's because I think a real living woman wouldn't love me. And then I met Honoka, and since then, I love her more than anything." Like, I don't know, this makes me really sad, because like, dude, you think a real woman wouldn't love you. You just think that. You didn't like, do you have any experience to back that up? I mean, maybe he does. This dude's only 16. I'm guessing that's a pretty small sample size. Like, in his case, if you think that there isn't a woman to love you, the worst thing you could do is give up now. But this community, nobody said anything. They upvoted his post and just asked him more questions about his waifu. It's like, dude, no, tell this kid you're young, you have no idea if a real woman wouldn't love you. Like, he clearly has the desire for a real human relationship, so it is actively harmful for him to replace that void with waifuism. And again, I like to be fair toward this community, but I just really dislike the fact that they do this sort of thing. Wait a sec. He says he doesn't think a real woman would love him. Is he hug blanketing? Get him out of here, mods. Here's another example, though. Why do you pick waifus over real living people? Really, people piss me off too much. I just don't want to burden someone with my dumb ass. Like, again, this is a person with a self-defeating mindset that needs to be challenged. And that way of thinking needs to be terminated. Why did I say it like that? Terminated. Anyways, but decided finding a way to look through it, they choose to ignore it and sink into waifuism, and nobody says anything. Again, this had like 12 upvotes. And again, I'm not trying to be unempathetic. Like, you know, you have to be in the headspace to change your own problems. I'm just saying that, like, the advice this subreddit gives and just the whole act of waifuism in these people's cases who are using it as a fix for social deficiency, it just really isn't healthy. And it bothers me that it's so glossed over in this community. I will say, though, that when it comes to coping mechanisms, there are some caveats. And again, it kind of comes down to how the individual uses it. But I do want to be fair and say that there's actually a good amount of like success stories on the subreddit. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that common, unfortunately, but there's a lot of people saying that having a waifu kind of gave them the motivation to improve, actually. And hey, if these Redditors are to be believed, and they improved their lives because they had a waifu to motivate them, great for them. I'm genuinely happy. Now, do I recommend you go get a waifu to go motivate you? Definitely not. I'm just saying that it makes me happy to see a lot of people using this in a positive way. Continuing on, though. The third cause of waifuism is simply a preference, and I find this one quite interesting. Many people in the sub are allosexuals who do have desire for real relationships, yet still choose to be in the waifuism community. So one of the rather common reasons that someone might get into waifuism is that they've had a bad experience with real relationships. Which, like, again, I understand that 100%. Human interactions are unpredictable and leave the possibility of being badly hurt open. And if someone had been abused or had bad luck in relationships before, I don't necessarily blame them for getting into waifuism instead, even if I don't think, you know, that's like a good solution. But ultimately, again, live and let live. I don't really care what they do. But I do kind of have my opinion on this. Like, I really don't think it can substitute for a real relationship because you simply just don't have what a real person offers. Now again, maybe that differs based on the individual. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in some rare cases, some people are totally cool with that. And for real, even if you do have a desire for human relationships, yet waifuism makes you happy, I'm not judging, I'll believe you. I'm just skeptical of this in the general sense. And another reason someone might prefer fictional characters is simply that. Like, a lot of people just either say they're more interested in 2D people than 3D people, or that they just found a character that they just kind of like fell in love with. And both of these are pretty common. And I don't want to paint everyone in this group with like a broad brush, but I feel like a lot of people who are into waifuism as a preference, it reminds me a lot of the impulses that corn addicts have. And look, don't get me wrong, I said some waifuists, I don't think all of them fall in this category. Or even most of them, I don't know, I just think that in some cases it's definitely true. Especially with like the neckbeard type. The reason people get addicted to corn, whether it be visual or literary, yeah, that's right, we're mentioning book talk again. Someone should make a video about that. The issue is that these things are a fantasy that real life literally can't live up to because these are written to be the perfect fantasy. And like, well, a lot of people say it's a preference for them. And again, I'm sure it is. Some of them may just be some flavor of asexual. In some cases, it's like, man, I really do wonder if this is like a result of just how corn and that sort of media shapes people's brains nowadays. Like, for example, married men who have a wife yet still choose to watch a bunch of corn and not get active with their wife. that sort of thing. Because not only is it a fantasy, but it's super easy. Real life relationships take effort and have risks. But if you want gratification instantly, you can just open your phone. And it takes even less time to just imagine your waifu look in the case of the waifuists. And for some people, they fall into that instant gratification loop instead of actually seeking real fulfillment. And a lot of people seek the easy, more like aesthetically attractive way out. Like, okay, well, let's just like watch a bunch of corn, or in the most extreme cases, let's just date an anime character because, you know, real women are icky and they have body hair. And again, it's like, yeah, you can have whatever standards you want, but like, I can't expect every woman to be built like Mirko for My Hero. If you are though, hi, what's up? Sorry, I got nervous. What's funny too though is that the waifuists often cite these reasons a lot though. Like they'll readily admit that waifuism takes less effort and conforms to unrealistic standards, but they're still cool with it. Like, and a lot of people, that's actually the main reason why they're in it. And again, I sympathize with that. Like, yeah, real relationships are tough, finding a person's tough, and nobody's ever perfect. And it leaves open the possibility for abuse and future breakups, but I don't know, man. I just can't see this being more fulfilling. But I get it. Again, not trying to be callous. There's a lot of people here who have like had their hearts broken, and they've said that it like completely turned them off of like real relationships completely. I'm not trying to minimize that, and I'm not trying to claim that those people specifically are, you know, corn addicts. My point of this section is just more like, yeah, I've seen this trend a little bit and I think it's interesting, but I don't think this is all cases or even all that common in the first place. There's really no way to tell. But moving on to some interesting comments I found. I just have a crush on the character because, well, he meets a lot of my unrealistic standards of men. I never expected to actually form an internal daydream relationship with him. You know, that's how it gets you. It's like a gateway. Like one day you find a character attractive, the next day you got a daydreamed relationship. But when I saw that there was a community around such a thing, I thought, hey, why not? It could be fun. I've had a lot of cartoon/anime crushes in my lifetime, but the major has by far been the longest lasting. While I do want to find interests other than Hellsing, I like to imagine this person's just like the ultimate Hellsing superfan. Like that's their only interest ever. I also sincerely hope that my love for him continues for as long as possible, even if I'm in other fandoms. Now, I initially wanted to say this seems pretty unhealthy, because again, it's like, instead of having realistic standards that like actual people can live up to, this person decided to just get in a fictional relationship. But on the other hand though, I thought about it a little more and I'm like, wait, we are discussing men though, and some men think it's gay to wash their ass. So like, yeah, no, this person might be totally fine. I don't know how high those standards actually are, because the bar is in hell. But the very last thing I want to point out about waifuism as a whole, in the case of the last two examples, allosexual and alloromantic people who have a desire for 3D relationships. No, I'm using their actual terms now. I just realized that like I've been referring to it as 3D relationships. Damn it. But like, for people like that who choose waifuism for whatever reason, I find some of the norms and the rules within this community a little concerning. Again, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, and everyone's got their own individual like experience and choice with this. But personally, I feel like, you know, if you have a desire for real relationships, the goal for waifuism should be to get out of it. A lot of people on this subreddit, whether they're aware of it or not, are, you know, hug blanketing. But, you know, the subs culture and the rules discourage that sort of thing. So either you get out of the community, hide the fact that it's a coping mechanism for you, or you deny your real desires to stay with the community. And also just a general environment I don't think is that healthy either. It's like all the posts about like just kind of making up the things that you and your significant other do, or like talking about their imaginary adventures as if it's like literally real and literally happened. Like the type of posts that are indistinguishable from a relationship subreddit. I think that sort of thing is pretty harmful because you're like encouraging people to like sink into that, especially people who might not just be doing mentally well, and that turns into maladaptive daydreaming and coping. And I don't know, I just feel like the general environment of this community really is not conducive to personal growth, even though a lot of people claim that like, yeah, their waifu helped them. It's like, I think that's the exception rather than the norm because of the way this community is structured. And what's funny is that one of the prominent posters that's been showed a few times in this video, I've blurred all the usernames of this video so you probably don't know, but they wrote this comment under a YouTube video, and they actually kind of agree with me, and I found it pretty interesting. Found this video randomly. One of the biggest things I can offer is that I think r/waifuism as a whole is not healthy. There are some people who manage to be better or learn and grow despite being part of the community, but anyone that has their eyes open can see there's too much circle jerking. I'm one of the few people who used to often try and pry people away from it when they were obviously coping. I was critical of hive mind aspects of the community, and I often engaged in discussions about my own beliefs and approaches to relationships as a waifuist, more often with people outside of the community. Because I went out and drew attention to the sub and was critical, I was warned by moderation I could be banned if I continued. Ever since I kind of ignore the sub, there are better communities out there for the same thing. It really bugs me that there's a large portion of kids there, doubly so because there are loads of adults nurturing their bad choices, when it's obviously they would be better served not engaging with waifuism. I have a lot of critical opinions of waifuism, but not really sure where to go with this, but found it interesting because I was featured and felt compelled to say something lol. I do think that the average person will stagnate as you've said, but it isn't always the case either. It's unfortunate that the small percentage that manage to enrich their lives through it end up creating a net too large it catches all sorts of people that shouldn't be there. So there we have it. From one of the most prominent posters on that subreddit, it's not that big of a deal for a lot of people. However, there are many people who will not do well with it, and for a lot of people it's very obviously maladaptive coping. But overall though, this community is probably one of the most interesting things I've looked into so far. And although antisocial and concerning behavior is really common within this community, it's a lot less prevalent than I thought going into it. Again, like that person I just showed said, it really is a mixed bag and it kind of comes down to the individual, although a lot of people who just won't deal with it healthily get roped in. But before this video, I'd only really seen the lowlights of this community, you know, the neckbeard body pillow type things. And so I was expecting this investigation to be mostly funny and sad, and to be honest, yeah, a lot of it was, but I came out of this realizing that like, for a lot of people, it just really isn't that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, I don't think the community as a whole is necessarily good. I don't think that most people will have a good relationship with it, but for me, the correct line to take is live and let live. And that kind of applies to everything pretty much, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And certainly no one in the subreddit is really hurting anyone, other than their horrible advice. But finally, if you made it this far, you should probably subscribe, because I'm guessing you enjoyed it unless you fell asleep to my luscious, sultry voice. Or maybe you were hate watching. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. We could duke it out down there. That's all I got though. Later.